Episode 4 of Season 19 isn't just another chapter in Amy's life. It's the moment everything changes for her and Nathan. It's raw, emotional, and full of tension that makes you wonder whether love can truly survive when the ghost of the past refuses to fade. Because this time, Amy's heart will be tested like never before, and Nathan will face a truth he might not be ready to hear. After the emotional storm that Episode 3 brought us, Episode 4 picks up right where things left off, with Amy still struggling to make sense of her feelings. The memory of Ty continues to hang over her like a shadow that refuses to disappear. You can tell she wants to move forward, she wants to let Nathan in completely, but something inside her just keeps pulling her back. And honestly, it's understandable. Ty wasn't just her husband, he was her home, her safe place. So now, even though Nathan is everything she could ask for, there's this quiet war inside her between what was and what could be. But what makes Episode 4 so powerful is that for the first time, Amy is forced to choose between holding on to the past and fighting for her future. The episode opens with Amy trying to focus on her work at the ranch, pretending everything is fine. But you can feel that tension in her eyes, in the way she goes quiet when Nathan walks in. She's avoiding the conversation they both know they need to have, the one about that moment she pulled away when he tried to kiss her. Nathan, being the patient man he is, tries to act like it didn't matter. But deep down, it did. It broke something in him. You can see it in the way he looks at her, how he's trying so hard to be understanding, yet can't hide that flicker of pain. He loves her, completely, honestly, but he also knows he's living in the shadow of someone he can never compete with. And that's where the tension of this entire episode begins to grow. Things take a more complicated turn when Caleb shows up at Heartland, pretending it's just a casual visit. But we all know Caleb never just drops by for no reason. He's still wrestling with his own guilt and confusion, still unable to accept Amy moving on. Even though he's with Ashley, you can sense that part of him hasn't truly let go of Amy, and that's what makes his presence so dangerous this time. He tries to act supportive, but the way he looks at Nathan, the way he questions him with that half smile, tells a completely different story. Caleb still sees Nathan as an outsider, someone who doesn't belong in Heartland, someone who can't possibly understand Amy's world the way Ty once did. And instead of helping her heal, his attitude starts to reopen old wounds Amy has been trying to close. Meanwhile, the ranch seems to mirror Amy's emotions. Quiet, unsettled, full of restless energy. Even the horses seem uneasy, as if they can feel the shift coming. Jack senses it too. He doesn't say much, but in that calm, wise way of his, he tries to remind Amy that love isn't about replacing someone. It's about allowing your heart to feel again. But that's easier said than done when every memory of Ty feels like a reminder of what's gone. Still, Jack's words linger with her, slowly sinking in as she realizes she might be pushing away the one person who truly wants to stay. The breaking point comes when Amy overhears a conversation between Caleb and Nathan that wasn't meant for her ears. Caleb, in his usual blunt way, implies that Nathan could never live up to Ty, that Amy will always compare him to the man she lost, and instead of defending himself, Nathan just stays silent. Not because he agrees, but because he's tired. He's tired of fighting a battle he never signed up for. That silence says everything. It's that kind of silence that cuts deeper than words. Amy sees it, she feels it, and it shakes her to the core. For the first time, she realizes that her indecision isn't just hurting her, it's breaking Nathan too. And then comes the moment that changes everything. The one that turns Episode 4 from a quiet, emotional storm into something much bigger. A sudden call forces Nathan and Caleb to fly out together, a situation neither of them is comfortable with. Amy, still heavy with guilt and confusion, watches them leave, unaware that this short trip will push both men to their limits and reveal truths that have been buried for far too long. The weather turns bad, and their small plane is caught in turbulence, leaving Amy back at Heartland, desperate, praying, and realizing how much Nathan truly means to her. This is where the heart of the episode begins to beat faster. It's no longer about who Amy loved first. It's about who she chooses now. It's about understanding that grief doesn't fade by forgetting someone, but by learning to love again without guilt. As the storm rages both in the sky and in Amy's heart, the story builds toward a choice that will define the rest of her journey this season. Will she let her past keep haunting her, or will she finally open her heart completely to Nathan, the man who has been patient enough to wait for her healing? Episode 4 sets the stage for that transformation. It's not flashy. It's not over the top, but it's deeply emotional, quietly intense, and full of the kind of raw humanity that Heartland does best. You'll feel every hesitation, every heartbreak, every unspoken word that passes between Amy and Nathan. And by the end of this episode, one thing becomes painfully clear. Love isn't just about finding the right person, it's about being brave enough to let them in, even when it hurts. As the storm rages on, both in the sky and within the hearts of the characters, Episode 4 dives deeper into the chaos that has been slowly building since the start of this season. With Nathan and Caleb stuck together in the middle of nowhere, all the buried emotions finally start to surface. It's one of those moments where silence speaks louder than any argument. You can almost feel the tension between them, the resentment, the jealousy, and the unspoken pain of two men connected by one woman who has no idea how deeply she's become the center of their storm. Caleb keeps trying to play it cool, cracking jokes to hide his discomfort, but Nathan isn't in the mood this time. He's exhausted, not just physically, but emotionally. He knows Caleb still carries a torch for Amy, and deep down, that thought has always bothered him. But now, trapped together with no way out, all the words they've been holding back start to come pouring out. What makes this scene so powerful isn't the shouting or the confrontation, but the honesty that finally breaks through. Caleb accuses Nathan of pretending to be the good guy, calm, collected, and unbothered, when in reality, he's been competing with a ghost this entire time. And for the first time, Nathan doesn't deny it. He admits that yes, he does feel like he's living in Ty's shadow, that no matter what he does, part of Amy will always belong to someone else. But he also makes it clear that he's not trying to replace Ty. He's just trying to love Amy the best way he knows how, even if that means accepting that her heart will always carry pieces of another man. It's a heartbreaking confession, one that finally shuts Caleb up because for once, he sees the depth of Nathan's love. Not possessive, not jealous, but painfully real. Back at Heartland, Amy senses that something is wrong. She's pacing, restless, unable to shake off the feeling that the storm is more than just bad weather. Jack and Lisa try to comfort her, telling her that both men are strong and experienced. But Amy's intuition won't let her rest. It's like her heart knows that this isn't just about the flight. It's about the emotional storm that has been waiting to hit. The flashbacks start to creep in again, moments with Ty that remind her of who she used to be. Strong, fearless, deeply in love. And those memories are beautiful but painful, because they make her realize how scared she's become of losing again. That's why she's been keeping Nathan at a distance. It's not because she doesn't love him, but because loving him means opening herself up to the possibility of loss again. And that's the kind of fear that keeps her trapped between the past and the present. As night falls and the storm grows worse, Amy stands outside, staring into the darkness, whispering to herself that Nathan has to be okay. It's one of those quiet but emotional moments that remind us why Heartland has such a loyal fan base. It's not about explosions or action. It's about connection, about feeling every heartbeat of these characters as if they were our own. Amy's tears aren't just about fear. They're about realization. For the first time, she admits to herself that she loves Nathan deeply, but she's terrified that fate might take him away before she even gets the chance to tell him. That realization hits hard, and it sets the emotional tone for the rest of the episode. Meanwhile, the tension between Nathan and Caleb reaches its peak when their plane is forced to make an emergency landing. They end up in the middle of nowhere, cold, wet, and surrounded by the sounds of the storm tearing through the trees. The two men take shelter, still reeling from their argument, but something changes in the silence that follows. Caleb starts to soften. Maybe it's the adrenaline, maybe it's guilt, but he finally admits that he's been unfair to both Amy and Nathan. He tells Nathan that losing Ty hit him harder than he ever expected, not just because Ty was his friend, but because Ty represented the kind of man Caleb always wished he could be. Strong, dependable, selfless. And when Ty died, Caleb felt like part of himself died too. That's why he couldn't handle seeing Amy move on. It wasn't just jealousy, it was grief mixed with guilt. Nathan listens quietly, not interrupting, just letting Caleb talk. And when Caleb finally looks up, expecting anger, Nathan just nods. He tells Caleb that he understands. Because grief doesn't disappear, it just changes shape. They both lost someone who meant something to them. And maybe that's why their paths keep crossing like this. It's a strange moment of peace between two men who were never meant to be friends. But somehow, in this shared pain, they start to understand each other. It's not forgiveness. Not yet. But it's the start of something that feels like closure. Back at Heartland, Amy gets a call that the plane has gone off radar. Her heart sinks. That single piece of news shatters her composure completely. She breaks down, finally letting all the emotions she's been holding back come pouring out. She tells Jack that she can't lose Nathan too, that she can't go through that kind of heartbreak again. Jack, with that quiet strength of his, tells her something that stays with her. You can't love halfway, Amy. Either you open your heart or you lose the chance to love at all. Those words hit her hard. And in that moment, Amy decides that if Nathan makes it back, she won't hide her feelings anymore. The episode continues to build this emotional tension, blending fear with hope in a way that only Heartland can. Every scene feels heavy with meaning, every look and silence filled with the weight of what's unsaid. You can feel the story steering toward a turning point, one that's not just about survival, but about emotional healing. And while we don't yet know what will happen when Nathan and Caleb finally make it back, one thing is certain, Amy's heart won't be the same again. Because sometimes, it takes almost losing someone to finally realize what they mean to you. By the time this section of the story comes to an end, we're left holding our breath, waiting for the storm, both literal and emotional, to finally settle. The question isn't just whether Nathan will make it home safely, but whether Amy will be brave enough to let herself love again without fear. And that's what makes episode 4 so gripping. It's not about action, it's about emotion. About the storm inside the heart that no one can control. Morning finally comes, but it doesn't bring peace. The storm is past, yet the silence that follows feels even heavier. Amy wakes up after a sleepless night, her face pale from worry. The first rays of sunlight spill through the Heartland barn windows, lighting up the dust in the air, almost like time itself is holding its breath. The only thing on her mind is Nathan. Where he is, if he's safe, if she'll ever get the chance to tell him how she really feels. Every sound makes her flinch. Every phone ring makes her heart skip a beat. You can tell this isn't just fear anymore. It's love. Real, raw, unfiltered love that she's been too afraid to admit until now. Jack tries to keep everyone calm, but even he can't hide his concern. When he steps outside to check for news, Amy follows him, and for the first time, she breaks her silence. She tells him that she can't lose another person she loves, that she doesn't think she has the strength to survive that kind of pain again. Jack looks at her for a long moment before saying something simple but powerful. Love doesn't protect you from pain, Amy. It gives you something to fight for. And that one line perfectly sums up what this entire episode is about, because love isn't about safety, it's about courage. Meanwhile, out in the wilderness, Nathan and Caleb are still stranded. The storm has left its mark. Trees knocked over, ground soaked, and a chill in the air that seeps into the bones. They've managed to fix the radio, but can't get a strong signal. Nathan takes a deep breath, trying to keep his focus, but he's clearly exhausted. You can feel his mind racing back to Amy. Her face, her voice, the way she looked at him before he left. There's this deep longing in his silence, like every heartbeat is calling her name. Caleb notices it and finally decides to break the silence. He tells Nathan that Amy deserves someone who will stay no matter what, someone who won't run when things get hard. And Nathan just looks at him and says, "That's all I've been trying to do." That line hits hard, because it's true. Nathan has never tried to replace Ty. He's never tried to make Amy forget her past. All he's wanted was to be the man who stood by her while she healed. And that's the beauty of his character. Quiet strength, deep patience, and unconditional love. It's what makes this love story so painful, yet so beautiful at the same time. Caleb finally understands it too. You can see the shift in him, the realization that Nathan isn't the enemy. He's just another man trying to love Amy the way she deserves. It's almost like the storm outside broke something inside both of them, but in a way that allowed them to rebuild what's left. That line feels like the emotional core of episode 4. It's raw, honest, and beautifully written. A reminder that love isn't a replacement, it's an evolution. Ty will always be part of Amy's story, but now, Nathan is part of her healing. It's not about erasing the past, it's about finding the courage to love again despite it. And that's what makes this episode feel so special. It's not just about romance, it's about emotional survival. about choosing love even when it scares you. As Heartland builds toward its final act, the tone shifts from fear to hope. You can feel it in the quiet moments between Amy and Nathan, in the way they look at each other, in the way the ranch finally feels warm again after days of cold and worry. It's like the show is telling us that healing isn't instant. It's messy, painful, and beautiful all at once. And for Amy, this is the beginning of a new chapter, one where she finally allows herself to love fully again, not as someone who's lost, but as someone who's learning to live. Back at Heartland, the atmosphere feels different now. Softer, calmer, but filled with the kind of silence that only follows when people have gone through something they can never quite put into words. Everyone is trying to settle back into their routines, but you can feel that something deep has shifted, especially for Amy and Nathan. Their near-death scare has forced both of them to confront everything they've been avoiding for weeks. The love, the fear, the guilt, and the unspoken truths that have been sitting heavy between them. It's as if the storm didn't just clear the skies, it cleared their hearts too. But just when it seems like peace might finally settle in, Heartland throws us yet another emotional twist, one that none of us saw coming. Amy has always been someone who feels deeply but hides it well. She tends to carry her emotions like invisible weight, never showing the full extent of her pain until it breaks through in small, quiet moments. In episode 4, we finally see her open up completely. There's a beautiful scene, not dramatic, but deeply emotional, where she and Nathan are sitting by the fireplace at the end of the day. The ranch is quiet, everyone's asleep, and it's just the two of them. You can tell she's nervous, playing with her hands, trying to find the right words. Then she looks up at him and says something simple but heartbreaking. "I thought if I let myself love again, I'd lose another part of him." She doesn't even have to say Ty's name. Nathan knows exactly who she means. And instead of trying to reassure her with empty words, Nathan just listens. That's what makes him so different. He doesn't try to fix her grief, he respects it. He reaches out, gently takes her hand, and tells her that loving again doesn't mean forgetting the past. It means honoring it by choosing to live again. You can see the relief in Amy's eyes, as if a weight she's been carrying for years finally starts to lift. This moment between them feels honest, real, and earned. It's not forced romance, it's healing. It's the kind of love story that grows quietly, built not on grand gestures, but on mutual understanding and patience. Meanwhile, Caleb finds himself reflecting on everything that's happened. His talk with Nathan during the storm lingers in his mind like an echo he can't quite shake off. For the first time in a long while, he starts to see things clearly. That his resentment toward Amy wasn't just about love or jealousy, but about his own regrets. He realizes he's been stuck in the past just like Amy, unable to move forward because a part of him never let go of Ty either. There's a subtle but powerful moment where Caleb visits Ty's old spot at the ranch, the same place where they used to share coffee and talk about life. He sits there quietly, remembering the laughter, the friendship, the bond that shaped him into the man he is today. And for the first time, he smiles, not out of sadness but out of gratitude. It's a silent goodbye, but a meaningful one. Ashley notices this change in him. She's softer now too, less defensive, more understanding. She tells Caleb that she's proud of him, and in her eyes, you can see that maybe, just maybe, they've found their way back to each other. It's one of those quiet subplots that remind you how Heartland always finds a way to show growth and forgiveness, even in the smallest corners of its story. Because this show isn't just about love between couples, it's about the relationships that hold the entire Heartland family together. About how every person on that ranch carries their own version of loss and healing. But just when things start to feel settled, the show throws in a subtle but important hint of what's to come. Jack gets a call from someone we haven't seen in a while. A voice from the past that immediately shifts the tone of the episode. His expression changes, his voice lowers, and though he tries to hide it, Amy senses something is off. When she asks him about it, he brushes it off, saying it's nothing important, but we all know Jack too well. When he hides something, it usually means trouble ahead. That single moment adds a layer of mystery and suspense to the story, making it clear that whatever peace Heartland has right now might not last for long. As the episode moves toward its final act, we get to see Amy and Nathan share a moment that feels like a turning point. It's not grand or overly dramatic, but it's real, the kind of scene that captures what this entire relationship is about. Amy finally looks at Nathan without hesitation, without holding anything back, and tells him she loves him. The words are quiet, almost whispered, but they carry more weight than any declaration before. Nathan doesn't say anything at first. He just smiles, and you can see tears in his eyes because he knows how much courage it took for her to say that. When he finally responds, he doesn't say, "I love you too." Instead, he says, "I've been waiting for you to be ready." And that line, that one simple, beautiful line, wraps up everything this relationship has been building toward. Their love story isn't about replacing the past. It's about being brave enough to build a future. Amy's heart isn't divided anymore. It's whole again, even if it carries the memory of Ty forever. That's the beauty of her journey. She's not the same woman she was before. The pain is still there, but it no longer defines her. Nathan has helped her rediscover parts of herself she thought were gone. The strength, the hope, the ability to dream again. And that's what makes this relationship so different from anything we've seen before. It's mature, grounded, and full of quiet strength. The ending moments of the episode are filled with emotional calm. The sun sets over the ranch, the sky painted in gold and pink, and everything feels at peace for the first time in a long while. Amy leans her head on Nathan's shoulder as they watch the horses run freely in the field, a silent symbol of freedom, love, and healing. But right before the screen fades to black, we see Jack step out of the house, holding that mysterious piece of paper he received earlier. He looks out at Amy and Nathan, his face torn between pride and worry. Whatever that phone call was about, it's clear it's going to change everything once again. And just like that, Heartland ends episode 4 with the perfect blend of closure and suspense. Enough warmth to make us smile, and just enough mystery to keep us desperately waiting for episode 5. It's the kind of storytelling Heartland does best: emotional, honest, and full of heart.